Oh, Canada.
Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.
And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to an afternoon edition of We Got Next. I'm Ricky Hampton with my great friend, the big fella, Paul Mokeski, legendary Milwaukee Bucks center. Mo, it is so good to see you, brother. We got the early edition going tonight. We got the NCAA National Championship football game tonight. So we thought we'd get on and get off and let everybody settle down and watch the game tonight. Who you like tonight, Mo, between the Buckeyes and the Fighting Irish?
Wait, who's playing? I thought Oregon and Georgia and Texas and Penn State. Wait, what happened? What happened? You know what happened, Ricky? I'll tell you what happened. NIL, transfer portal, and the NFL draft. That's what happened, right? So a lot of those teams, like I think Oregon or whoever, they were missing like 15 to 20 of their players. So the team that had the most guys stay, Notre Dame and Ohio State, are in it. So, I think it's even money. I don't know who has a real advantage. Supposedly Ohio State, but weren't they ranked like 5th and 6th at the end of the season and right there with each other? So, I know Notre Dame runs more. They'll take more time on the clock. They play really physical, but same with Ohio State. Ohio State throws the ball a lot more, but they're very physical. I watched the games last week, and they're both very physical teams.
Hey, Mo, but you brought up an interesting thing with the transfer portal, NIL, and the draft. And, we get a lot of kids now who are going to be drafted that won't even play in the games. I know this is such a physical sport. Do you understand when guys say, nah, I don't want to do this. I got to make sure I'm ready for the draft.
Sure. Absolutely. I mean, really, Ricky, if your son was a probable first-round NFL draft pick, would you let him play in a bowl game?
I think I wouldn't mind him playing in this championship game. I wouldn't want him in the I don't want him in the Snoop Dogg Bowl and
Yeah, but what about the 2 games they had to play to get here? Would you let them play in that first game, which they weren't supposed to win?
Yeah. Yeah, I get it.
I mean, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. What's more important? And I went to Kansas. I love Kansas. I have my jersey hanging up, framed in my office. I have so many friends, that are Jayhawks. And but if I had a situation where if I get injured, it's going to cost me millions of dollars. I'm going to make the decision for the next part of my life, right? This is the next part. So I did all the work, won some games, had a great career at the college. Would I love to play, and win a championship? Sure, but am I going to risk the rest of my career on it? What if I'm a first-round draft pick quarterback and I get high load and I'm paralyzed? Now what?
Yeah.
Now what? Here's the difference, though, Ricky, that I would back off of this a little bit. NIL money. So all those guys have made money already. Back in the day, they would have not made any money. So they couldn't put any money away. I mean, Heisman Trophy winners now are making millions of dollars, right, in college. So, so I have that money put away. And you know what? If I'm really smart with that part of that money, I take an insurance policy out of myself for $100 million and pay the, $100,000 or whatever it is for that insurance policy. And that maybe I would let somebody play, or I would play, or I let my son play. But, it's a tough decision, whether you're going to risk your future earnings.
Yeah, it is. And we will continue to see that as this thing goes forward. Because
here's what bothers me worse. people that transfer. The players that transfer before the bowl game, they announce they're transferring. They're not going pro. They're transferring to another school. That's a bigger problem for me. And but the bottom line is they're probably transferring to make more money at the other school they're going to. So I mean, it is. Guess what? Well, don't let them fool you. That's what Timmy said. Is about the money. Is about the money.
Right. Timmy just told us.
He just said it, and I believe him. I believe.
Hey, and Paul, and there's no going back from this now. I mean,
Well, they're trying to backtrack, right? They're trying to put some guidelines in and some other things, but we've talked about this before. They did a huge mistake by opening the Pandora's box and allowing NIL money. That's number one, without any limitations and without anything to look back on. Then they compounded the whole problem by using the transfer portal where you can just go play for any team you want the next year. There's no penalty. So the NCAA did everything wrong, and now the genie's out of the bottle, and it's hard to put back in, and I don't know if they'll ever put it back in.
Yeah,
there's precedent now, right? There's precedent that student. Well, that's very. I don't know how I'd say this, but student athletes. I guess that's they're not really anymore. But there's a precedent that they can transfer and play, and that they can make money. So there's precedent on the books.
Right. Hey, before we get into it, I just saw this. I got a text from Woodage, a message from Woodage talking about the Scottie Pippen interview. He did some interview on a podcast. And I'm just going to throw this out, Mo, because you played against both these guys. And I'm just hearing about this. Pippen said that Michael was a horrible player. He said, our game is a team player, and one player can't do it. I've seen Michael Jordan play before I came with the Bulls. You guys seen him play. He was a horrible player. He was horrible to play with. It was all one-on-one, shooting bad shots. All of a sudden, we become a team and we start winning. Everybody forgot who he was. Michael was a very difficult person to deal with, but a great teammate, and we never became friends. But you don't have to be friends with your teammate.
Wait, did he say he was a great teammate? He didn't say that.
Yeah, he did.
So he said he was a horrible player, was selfish, but he was a great teammate. He said that? That's his quote?
That's the quote.
Well, I mean, it makes no sense. I mean, first of all, telling anybody that even watch their kids play at junior high to say that Michael Jordan was a horrible player, that's a joke. So whatever he says after that, you can't pay attention to it. That's so stupid. And then you top it off with the last quote that, he was selfish, he didn't blah, 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 but he was a great teammate. What are you talking about?
I will read it again for you, Mo. Michael is a very difficult person to deal with.
Agree, yes.
Great teammate, but we were never great friends.
So but what did he say before that? He said he was a horrible player,
He said,
horrible. Read me that, Ricky.
Okay. Our game is a team player. One player can't do it. I saw Michael play before I came to play with the Bulls. You guys saw him play. He was a horrible player. He was horrible to play with. It was all one-on-one, shooting bad shots. Suddenly, we become a team and start winning, and people forgot who he was. Now, help us with this one, because you played against them, and you guys beat them easily. I'm assuming he had to take a lot of those shots with those early Bulls teams.
At the beginning, we beat him easily. As he got better teammates around him, more talented, like Scottie was one of them, right. and Horace Grant and Bill Cartwright and Paxton and Kerr, and I can keep going down the line. As he got those players around him, he became a little more unselfish because guess what? The players around him were better. I mean, but anything Scottie Pippen says when he opens it up with part of his sentence is Michael Jordan was a horrible player before he got there.
I mean,
I don't listen to anything you say after that is a joke. I mean, that's so stupid. I mean, I know MJ. He was part owner of the Charlotte Bobcats when I coached there. I played against him. Steve Kerr's a good friend of mine. I have a lot of other friends that I know. Bill Cartwright. I know. Michael Jordan was hard to play with because he was tough on his teammates. He demanded that they be great. He demanded that they took the competition as tough as he did, and sometimes he crossed the line and did things that weren't right to his teammates. So yeah, he was definitely hard to get along with. Absolutely, no question. He was a horrible player. Come on, man.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? He was never a horrible player. When he was a horrible player, Ricky? When he got cut from his high school team. That's when he was a horrible player. That's when he was a bad player. He got cut from his high school team. And then from then on, high school, North Carolina, Chicago Bulls, Olympics. He's a great player. He's not a horrible player. Is he tough to get along with? Sure, I understand that. I mean, heck, Steve Kerr is one of the best guys in the world, nicest guys in the world. He punched him in the face in practice. I mean, so, but anything Scottie says along those lines, I mean, there's such little tidbits in there, but it's all wiped out because of the stupid stuff he says. Right. I mean, did he become more unselfish and a better teammate when they got better? Yes, they got better players. Absolutely. Did he rely on his players more and take less bad shots when he had better players around him? Of course, yes. Like you just said, we handled them so. When I was with Milwaukee, we beat Chicago all the time. When he was a rookie in his second year, because they weren't very good, and we were good. And he took bad shots, but he probably had to. And then, he learned from Phil Jackson and, be part of the team, and he became better at that.
Hey, Mo, when you worked in Charlotte and with Michael, when you talked to him, did he still have that competitive? Could you still hear the competitive drive when you would speak with him? And why do you think they hadn't been able to be successful?
Well, one day in practice, when Michael came to practice, he played everybody on the team one-on-one after practice and beat them. So yeah, he was competitive. Yes. He's competitive on the golf course. He's competitive when he gambles. He's competitive in the business world. Yes, he's competitive every way. The Charlotte Bobcats, made bad decisions. Over and over, they made bad decisions with their coaching. I was one of them. They let go. They made bad decisions in the draft when, they drafted North Carolina players because they went to North Carolina. Raymond Felton, really good player. Scott May, he got injured, out of shape. He shouldn't have been a first-round pick. So, and they've continued that on for years and years. Great players very, very rarely make good coaches or good GMs or owners. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. Say Jerry West.
Yeah, Jerry West in the front office. But name me a superstar player that ever was a good coach in the NBA. Name me one.
I can't.
Oh, there's one. Larry Bird.
Larry
Bird in Indiana.
Why do you think that is? Both the game came too easy for them, or
no, it didn't come. But they were so good that sometimes they expected everybody else to be as good as they were, and they're not. You can't, hell, if Michael Jordan coached me and expected me to jump like more Michael Jordan, I mean, come on, I can't do that. So that's some of it. I mean, Magic Johnson was coached for about a month. Bill Russell was a player coach. He was okay. Then when he became just a coach, he wasn't very good. Right. Isaiah Thomas wasn't a very good coach. Right. Or not a very good GM, pretty much. So, guys like Rudy Tomjanovich, Rick Carlisle, guys that were good NBA players, tend to be better coaches. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I just a good question. And hey, everybody out there, please send us your questions and comments, and we'll try to get to them before the hour's out, and we'll go from there. But I mean, to say the guy's a horrible player, just
Come on, man, really?
you lose all credibility.
That's like whenever anybody's talking to you, Ricky, and I say, Ricky, no disrespect, but you're about to get disrespected. And if I'm you, I'm not listening to anything else I'm saying. No disrespect, but okay, whatever you say from now on doesn't matter to me. That's the same thing. To say he was a horrible. I mean, that sentence right there negates anything else you could say. You could have the best comment and make the most sense after that, but that comment makes it null and void. I mean, you can't say that.
Yeah, and Woodage, Pippen was not happy with The Last Dance, and he's been kind of pissed ever since that thing.
He wasn't happy when he didn't go in for the final play and had a headache, and Kukoc hit the shot and they won the game anyway. He wasn't happy about that either. I mean, so Scotty.
But one thing he said that you've talked about before, you don't have to be best friends with your teammates. Yeah.
No, it helps, but you do have to respect them.
Right.
But okay, so Scotty, you were a great player, right? But when Jordan stepped away for a couple of years, you never won a championship without him. And then when he came back, you won 3 more, 2 more. Wait a minute, let's look at the facts here.
Yeah, I know. That's a great point, Mo.
Yeah, I know. Facebook doesn't fact check anymore, but I do. That's the fact. With Jordan, win championships. Without Jordan, no ring. Even though he was a horrible player. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Hey, Mo.
Scotty said some stuff, and there's players out there, former players out there, that say stuff like that. And in my opinion, they're trying to get their name and get some notoriety because they miss it. I mean, if I wanted, and I said something stupid like, you know what, if I was playing when Shaq was playing, he would never score on me. He wouldn't score 1 bucket on me. I mean, that's just stupid. That's not true. But if I say it loud enough in the right venue, someone's going to quote me on it. I'll be on ESPN.
Absolutely, Mo.
Hey, Ricky. Shaq would have never scored on me. I would have blocked every dunk he had. I would have owned Shaq. But by the way, he's a good guy, and he's a good player. But after I say that stupid comment, you're not listening to what I say.
Yeah, right. You don't care about nothing else I say. Absolutely. No, good point. Mo, I see you repping your Kansas City Chiefs hat. I got my Lions cap is on punishment for the next.
You told me you threw it in the trash, man. That's not right.
3 months, man, after we blew the game. Hey, but did you enjoy the weekend of NFL playoff games, and what do you see happening next weekend?
Well, I mean, I thought, the games were good or interesting. I think weather had a big part in what was going on. But I'm going to say, like I've said before, if you don't have a high level quarterback in the NFL, you're not going to win any game. You're not going to win games. Yep. I mean, just look. So, we're looking at the last round of playoffs. So you got CJ Stroud, Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Wilson. Oh wait, I'm doing the wrong thing. Shoot, hold on.
That's the early.
That was early, but that's still true too, right?
Yeah, just to get there, you better have somebody back there that knows what he's doing.
Yeah, hold on. So I got all these notes, man. So you got Patrick Mahomes, C.J. Stroud, Jaden Daniels, Jared Goff, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Matt Stafford, Jalen Hurts. Everybody knows those names. So, you know, you have to have guys that catch the ball. You have to have guys that offensive line can give the quarterback time. You have to have some running backs to keep everybody equal. You have to have a defensive line to put the pressure on the quarterback. You have to have DBs that can cover receivers and tight ends that are going everywhere. But if you have all that and you don't have a legitimate quarterback, big time quarterback, you're not going to get to the Super Bowl. I mean, just look.
And Mo, look at the four that are left. Daniels and Hurts in the NFC, Mahomes and man and Allen in the AFC. All are athletic quarterbacks who can make plays when the play breaks down.
And you know, there's been quarterbacks before that have been able to do that, but they weren't as many. You know, back in the day, you know, Joe Willie Namath and, you know, those guys never left the pocket. Stay in the pocket. Don't get hurt. Don't run out there. Those days are gone. Now, all those guys you mentioned can run. They can use their legs too. So, I mean, I don't know if I'm a defensive coordinator, you know, okay, we put a spy on the quarterback and make sure you shadow him and he can't break. But, you know, you got guys running way deep and your defensive backs and your linebackers are back there and there's all these gaps to run through, and then you have a quarterback with the legs to do it. And you know, look at the size of some of them too, you know, 6'3", 6'4", 220, 230.
Allen's 6'5". Yeah,
they're not easy to bring down anymore. And you know, it's a different game.
And the thing about these guys, they're just as good in the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
if you give them time, they pick you apart.
Yeah.
So what do you do? So you got to keep them in the pocket. Then you got to put pressure on them at the same time, and then you can't let them leak out. I mean, man. The other thing I noticed is the defensive line. You know, pass rushers, linebackers. Man, they're big dudes. But they're athletic too now. I mean, they're guarding receivers and everything. But then also look at what else you got, Ricky. Tight ends that are 6'6", 6'8", 240, 250 that can catch the ball and actually run. You know, that's to me, it's an exciting game.
I know Mark Andrews probably. It's no doubt he's Baltimore's most reliable receiver. And he drops a 2-point conversion, and he fumbles. I mean that you in every sport. I know you talk about all the time in basketball, especially football, especially playoff football. You cannot turn the ball over. That's
Ricky. Your Lions had 5 turnovers, man.
That's what killed them.
I mean, Goff threw 2 interceptions, and then they fumbled the ball. You can't do that. Especially now that teams can actually run the clock. You got a limited number of possessions now on offense to actually score. So, I mean, there's 5 possessions that they potentially had that they gave the ball away. So those are nullified possessions. It's mind-boggling. But I'd like to break down this though. You know, my Chiefs play the Texans, who are a really good team, and get outplayed, right? They get outplayed. So if you look at the Chiefs had 50 plays for 27 minutes, the Texans had 65 plays for 32 minutes. Chiefs had 14 first downs, Texans had 18. Chiefs had 212 yards, Texans had 336. You know, rushing yards for the Chiefs is 50, for the Texans 148. Passing even 162 for the Chiefs, 186 for the Texans. And, you know, but the Chiefs are just finding, like they have all season, that scares me that they're going to lose, but they found ways to win. They block a field goal. They, all of a sudden, Travis Kelce is 25 years old again. I mean, he has 100-plus yards, and he's catching everything. And I don't know, man. Dude's pretty big, right? How come he's wide open all the time?
I don't know.
But you know, it's
And,
just
and, and Mo, and he's wide open all the freaking time.
but I mean, if I'm CJ Stroud and I'm the Texans, I mean, I'm like, man, we outplayed them. That's like in the NBA, you outshoot a team from the field goals, from the three, you shoot more free throws, you get more rebounds, you have more assists, and you lose the game. What happened?
Yeah. Steve, I've been hearing this too in Detroit today. It looks like Ben Johnson will be heading off to division rival Chicago to become the next head coach there.
Yeah, I've heard their offensive and defensive guy, but here's my question then: does this game taint their interviews? They were supposed to go to the Super Bowl, weren't they? They were supposed to go to the Super Bowl, and they didn't. And he's the offensive coordinator. He did score 31 points, though, so that helps him. But I mean, if you know, I know I know a question they're going to have in their interview process now that they didn't have last week. How come?
Why did you run that? No, why did you run that reverse and have Jameson Williams throw the ball?
Yeah. There's going to be all kinds of questions now. You know.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Time out. Let's slow our roll here. Explain these situations to us and why you made those decisions, and would you make again when you're coaching us?
What they says the Lions are cursed. Man, they got killed with injuries. And the other night, the second play of the game, Meek Robinson went out. Their outstanding cornerback broke his arm on the second. Well, we think it's a broken arm. So he's out so they were just out there with backups just everywhere. And the Commanders ate them up. And credit to Jaden Daniels. But even with that, if they don't turn the ball over, they're still going to win that game.
Yeah. And Jaden Daniels, you know, he's in the learning process, right? And he's still in, but I'm telling you that kid ain't scared.
No, he's not. But yeah, that's a great point you made earlier about the QBs, Mo. I mean, you just got to have them. And everybody out there you're watching, we got next. I'm Ricky Hampton with Paul Mokeski. We got an early show tonight. We got the national title game coming on tonight. So we would like to hear your questions and comments about that. That's right. Happy King Day, everybody out there. Thank you for that, Wood Age. And this is another good one from Wood Age. The Chiefs have been out experiencing teams today. But I think what he's really saying, Mo, they know how to win.
They've been there. They've done that. They've done that together. And guess who else has been there the whole time? Their coach. Yeah. They believe in their coach and their coaching staff and their defensive guy. That I'm screaming at the TV early in the game. Why are you not blitzing? You always blitz. Why are you not blitzing? And guess what he did in the fourth quarter? He blitzed.
He saved it.
He blitzed. Yeah. And, you know, so, and that, you know, you have to have the talent. No question. You have to have a talented quarterback. But also, just like you said, Woodage, experience does matter. We've been here before. So you're in the huddle saying, okay, we've been here before. We did this. Here's what we're going to do, blah, blah, blah. And you're believing it. You've never been there before. And you're saying, okay, this is what we're going to do. Guys might be, are you sure this is going to work, man? Are you positive this is going to work?
Hey, Mo, but you're right. They saved that for the fourth quarter. When you coach, and do coaches save stuff that they know, you know, it could be a zone or something that we're going to spring on them in latter stages of games. Do you save does that happen a lot?
I think it happens. I don't know a lot, but yeah, it does happen. I mean, you know, as a basketball coach, I'm going to save a play that maybe could give me a three that I know works almost all the time. I don't know if I have it up here on my board. My play was Horns Twist. You come off a shooter, and then you pick the shooter and you flare them in and you pass over the top for a three. That almost worked all the time. And, you know, I'm not going to reveal that early in the game if I don't need it, unless it's a big, important game. Also, like you just said, playing zone. You know, maybe I know that the team I'm playing, they don't play against zone very good. But I'm gonna see how the first half goes. I'm gonna see, if we can have a little lead, be tied, just be down by 10. I'm not throwing the zone at them yet. I'm gonna wait like maybe at the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth, when these possessions, I need these possessions. Now I'm gonna spring that zone on them, and they're not gonna know what hit them. Yeah, I think you save. I think football coaches save like those little trick plays they have. The little, pitch play to a pass or pitch play to a little push pass thing that somebody ran. I think, especially in the red zone, I think, and the Chiefs are notorious for that. The Chiefs, I think, have probably 5 little twisty plays they can run in the red zone that have worked for them over the last 3 or 4 years.
So Steve thinks the Bills can't beat the Chiefs, and I gotta agree with him. What your thoughts on this weekend? Washington has to go to Philly. One thing about Washington going to Philly, they're used to going there. They're division rivals. And then you got Buffalo and KC. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, well, Buffalo's beat Kansas City before. And, with Josh Allen as a super quarterback, they have a really good running game. I think their defense is back to where it was like at the beginning of the year. Their defense was like, the talk of the league. And now they didn't perform like that during the season. I think it's back closer to where they were. They're very physical. The Chiefs are who they are. They're not going to change. But, like I said, I'm pulling for the Chiefs, but the Bills can beat the Chiefs because a lot of teams have been close and a couple teams have done it, or one team has done it, but they can't beat them. But they can't turn the ball over because the Chiefs usually don't. And, it might come down to a doink or one of those things that you never know,
Boy, it sure is good to have number 15 back there in case it gets tight, though.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, but, I think it could come down to some flubbed punt, some, interception, pick six. You never know.
Hey, Mo, before you comment and give your thoughts on the NFC game, the yesterday's game with and I want our comments from our viewers out there too, between the Rams and Eagles with the snow coming down. I've heard some people say that all cold weather cities should have dome. But do you think those kind of games add to the atmosphere of football? Because, hey, both teams playing in it.
Yeah, but I can see, the LA team has a disadvantage because they haven't played in as much. But guess what? That's part of the team. That's part of the game, So if you don't want to, if you're a warm weather team or have a dome and you don't want to play in a cold weather team that doesn't have a dome, win more games so you play more home games. That's what you do. There's the answer to your question. There's the answer to your problem. So it's on you. And I don't see the league mandatory and everybody has a dome, especially the cold cities. You never know. I think years ago, I think they mandated that. When AstroTurf first came in, it was horrible. I remember practicing at the Silverdome. Ricky, you were there. It was like thin carpet over cement. I'm like, yeah. I mean, how you play on this? And I think that's improved, and they mandated, teams do that. But building a dome, if you're playing in I don't know. Can you see a dome? Can you ever see a dome in Green Bay? Really? In that stadium, you're going to put a dome? Really?
Right. And not only that, Mo, when cold weather teams go to Miami and Tampa, where it could be 90 degrees in December, those teams have an advantage too.
Sure.
You can have the heat work against you. So
here's what you're doing. You're swapping out a heater blowing warm air to a fan blowing cold air. It's the same discomfort. It's different discomfort, but it's discomfort.
Steve thinks the Eagles and Commanders would be a toss-up. Your thoughts on that game, Mo?
I think at this point they're all toss-ups, and that's what was interesting. I think in the Bills game where He missed an extra point, but then he made a couple field goals with snow everywhere. I think that was that game. And, so at this point, if I'm playing outside in the snow, anywhere in the snow, I don't want to rely on my field goal kicker, no matter how good he is.
Right.
And I think in that same, man, I mixed things up, but there was one point where the winning field goal or close to the winning field goal, the holder caught a really bad snap and then brought it back. And that was a huge play. I mean, if he fumbles that, that's a different game. So, all these games, I'm in Vegas. There's a lot of bettors here. I know friends that were in casino sports books with hundreds of people. And when the Chiefs punter ran the ball out of bounds for a safety, and the point spread was 9.
Oh my God!
A lot of people lost and made money on that.
Oh my God! Hey, what I kept thinking yesterday when that somebody's gonna try to kick one, and it's gonna do like a Charlie Brown.
They'll fall on the ground.
Yeah.
It'll be the ice. It won't be Lucy pulling
the ball. Just fall off.
Yeah, I know. You feel like that, right?
Yeah.
And guess what? It could happen. That's why they play the game, and that's why, I don't think anybody could say, well, there's no way that this team can beat that team, especially at this point in the season. You can't say that anymore. I mean,
no, you really can't. Hey, let's get to the NBA mode, and just we're at the halfway point, and just your thoughts. Let me just put this out here right quick. Cleveland 35-6, man. Great start, great first half. They got a full 6.5 game on the defending champion, Boston Celtics, who are 29-13. Out west, Oklahoma City is off to another great start, 35-7. They got a 7-game lead on Houston, who were knocked off today by my Pistons at home. Boy, I just love what Bickerstaff's doing with them. But
they're in the 8th spot or something, or moving up. They're right there. They're doing a good job.
But Mo, great stars for Oklahoma City and Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, both of them are legit teams. Both of them have nice rosters. Both of them have good coaches. They proved themselves over the first half of the season that they're the top teams in the league. However, there's a second part of the season, and then there's the playoffs. So there's a long way to go. We've seen many, many, many teams be the best teams in the East and the best records in the West and not get past the second round in the playoffs. So, they're having a great season. They need to continue with that, but nothing is decided yet. I think there's going to be moves at the trade deadline here coming up in a couple weeks for a couple teams, but their rosters are built the right way. They play the right way. And they have the momentum, but, either team is one injury away from falling out of the contention. So that's always scary, but they're having a great season.
Steve just said Chris Middleton put his home up for sale.
Yeah.
Is he tradable even now? I mean,
sure. I think his contract's a little tough though, but if he can't be the man anymore. He can't be your first or second option on offense, but he can help a team win, much like somebody in Dallas. That Dallas picked up Klay Thompson, who is now their third best scorer on their team. Yeah. Similar in that situation, he could plug in somewhere. His contract is, I think, 3 more years or something like that. But, is he tradable? Yes, but it has to be the right price. And then the Bucks need to get something back. There might be a third team need to be involved. But I think it's clear that the Bucks have to make some kind of move here in the next couple of weeks to fix, they look great in some games and they look horrible in other games. And, it's definitely needs to make a move. And it might, if they get something from Middleton, it might be that guy. But Steve, putting your house up for sale, is a rumor probably. And who knows what that means. Hey, maybe he's selling his house in Milwaukee and buying a bigger house in Milwaukee on the lake.
Hey, Paul. Okay, in the East, and we'll get to the West. Even with Cleveland off to this great start, 35-6. Boston 29-13 championship caliber team, New York 27-16, and even Milwaukee at 24-17. Those will still be dangerous foes. Uh, and yeah, Indiana's next at 24-19, but I can't put them in that class with those four teams.
Yeah, we just talked about Milwaukee, and over the last couple of weeks, they've moved into the 4th spot. And that's huge for them because that gives them home court in the first round, right? So, I think if everybody's healthy, Boston, New York, and Milwaukee, and maybe Indiana can beat the Cavs if everything is equal. So, you can't rest on, what's going on, but those Celtics are, what did Rudy Tomjanovich say? Don't doubt the heart of a champion. I mean, they've been there. They have the same team. They have good players, great players. They know how to get there. The Knicks, making that move to get Towns, has punched them up, and they're physical. And I'm not giving up on my Milwaukee Bucks yet in the East. And, Miami, Indiana, Orlando, maybe if Wagner gets healthy, are still going to be interesting there. So we'll see. We're going to see what happens in the trade deadline.
Hey, before we came on the air, we were talking about the Celtics, who are 7-7 in their last 14 games, and I was reading a story about Derek White has not played as well as he has in previous seasons with them. They hadn't shot the three quite as well. And some people are saying maybe it's a championship hangover.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I would suggest that people took Derek White for granted the last few years. They just thought he was an average player, right?
Yeah.
Till he came through.
Mo, I am absolutely guilty of that, man.
Yeah. So he played really well in the playoffs. Then he played good in the Olympics, and all of a sudden, I put together those scouting reports. I know what they look like. So, before, if you're scouting Boston, you got Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, Holiday, Pritchard, don't let him get a late shot, half court shot. Derek White is like 5th or 6th on that list. He's like 3 now. So they have teams are focusing their defense on him. And that has something to do. But my concern if I'm Boston is the trade that crushed my heart in Milwaukee, the Holiday trade, and giving Drew Holiday to the Boston Celtics, the dreaded Boston Celtics, and winning a championship was huge. And when you look at him now, he's been bothered with injuries. He's only averaging 12 points and 4 assists a game. He's been averaging 20-something and 7 or 8 assists for the last 5 years. So that's more of a concern than Derek White.
Yeah. I actually went back and looked up Derek White. He was not highly recruited. I think he had 1 scholarship offer going to college. Yep. He wasn't a 5-star, 4-star. He might have been a no-star.
Yep.
And has become a quality NBA player. So everybody out there doing the 4 and 5-star stuff, hey,
they know who they are. Yeah. So here's a point I'm going to make it really quick so we can move on, Ricky. So we're talking about the dangerous teams in the East. Okay, so you tell me what roster is more dangerous than another roster. You got Cleveland with Mitchell, Garland, Mobley, Allen, LeVert. You got Boston with Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, White, Holiday. You got the Bucks with Giannis, Lillard, Portis, Middleton, Lopez. You got the Knicks with Brunson, Anthony Towns, Bridges, Anunoby, and Hart. I'd take any of those in battle.
Yeah, right? You know what? Milwaukee sounds a little bit better than everybody else. No disrespect to the other teams.
Yeah, I mean, I said it a while ago that if Allen could get healthy, in Cleveland, they would have the best starting five, and he is now, because Allen lets Mobley move over to the 4, and you have Garland and Mitchell, who are two of the best guards, and then you put a LeVert in there, or a Strus in there, a great shooter. But any of those 4 starting 5 can win a championship, right?
Right.
Seems
Right.
like.
Hey, Mo, we're going to go over to the West in a second, but before we leave the East, I got to ask you about the Washington Wizards franchise. Why are they so consistently horrible?
Bad decisions. Bad decisions on drafts, bad decisions on contracts, bad decisions on free agency, bad decisions on coaches, bad decisions in the general manager's office. It's bad decisions. And once you put a bad decision on another one, every team, no matter how good they are, make bad decisions somewhere. But they make 2 bad decisions and 8 good ones out of 10. The Wizards are bad teams like that. The Pistons in the past have made 2 good decisions to 8 bad ones. And you can't recuperate from that.
Dang, man. They are 6 and 35.
I don't know who's their roster. I don't even know who. I mean, who plays for them. You can't win teams with bad play. You can't win games with bad players.
Okay, their roster: Marvin Bagley, Sadiq Bey, Brogdon. All 3 of those guys are hurt, by the way. I don't know these other guys. I'm serious.
Don't they have a couple forwards? The guys that are
Kyle Kuzma,
Yep.
Jordan Poole, and Sarr, who was the
Jordan Poole, who got booted out of the Warriors. He was a very talented player, but a goofball.
Yeah, and Valanciunas. But more after I got past Brogdon, I went down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys. I don't know who they are.
Yeah, I mean,
So that's probably a good reason right there.
yeah, I mean, they don't have, but it's mistakes on mistakes, Ricky. So,
Yeah.
So here's what happens. So you make a bad draft pick, right? There's one mistake. Then you sign a free agent like Jordan Poole, who has talent but is a goofball. There's another mistake. Then someone gets hurt. There's a mistake that's not in your control. You got a problem.
Yeah.
You can't beat any teams anymore. So you're down there, battling with the Raptors and the Hornets and the Nets,
Yeah.
and actually now the Sixers, which is a horrible, situation there. I don't know what they're going to do, but there's mistakes. Mistakes on. That's like having turnovers in a football game. You're gonna lose.
Hey Mo, you know what? I think Philly, they're 15 and 26. I think what's happening there is actually worse than what's happening in Washington, because we knew Washington was going to be bad. Didn't think they'd be 6 and 35 bad. But for Philly to have these issues with the expectations, but it seems to me that Embiid has really kind of just quit on the team.
Yeah, and you know who's going to pay for that, right?
The coach.
Yeah, Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse will be fired by the end of the year. Yeah.
The coach will pay for that. Hey, we're running out of time, so let's get to the West. We talked about the halfway point. Oklahoma City, 35-7. Houston, 28-14. Memphis Grizzlies, 28-15. Denver, 26-16. Clippers, 24-17. Lakers, 22-18. Dallas, 23-20. And Sacramento, which has played better since Mike Brown, 22-20. Boy, that's a deep conference to me, Mo.
Yeah, and I think there's some fool's gold at the top of that. I think OKC is legit. I think Houston and Memphis are a little fool's gold because if you said pick a team that's gonna win the West, and it can't be OKC. Pick a team that's going to win the West. I would pick Denver, Dallas, and probably Minnesota over Houston and Memphis, wouldn't you?
Yep.
If you
I would jump right over Houston and Memphis. Yep.
Yep. Which is, I guess it's unfair because their record is their record, but I don't firmly believe in that. what they have, and I think Denver's playing a little bit better, at 26 and 16. Dallas, Luka's hurt, so they've dropped hard. And I told you that 2 weeks ago when he got hurt, right? I said
Yep.
Dallas was in the second spot, and I think they're in the sixth spot now.
Dallas.
And they're continuing to drop. So, Lakers, and who Kawhi with the Clippers is kind of interesting now because they have a good team. Zubac at center, Kawhi's there. They got a decent team to make a run. So, the sad things in the West are Phoenix Suns and Golden State Warriors, right? Especially the Phoenix Suns. My goodness.
Right. And hey, my latest Zach Edey update. Love this kid. He's averaging 10 points a game, 7 rebounds, 1.5 blocks, and 20 minutes a game.
Yeah.
That's excellent for his rookie year.
I told you he could play in the NBA.
Yes,
I told
he did.
everybody. I told everybody he could play in the NBA.
Yes, he did.
And I guess Memphis decided to listen to me.
And he will get better. And he will get better.
So who's made the biggest stride in Memphis is Jaren Jackson. Jaren Jackson he's always been a good shot blocker and rebounder. He's averaging 23 points a game. He's their leading scorer over Ja Morant. And that's part of letting Jaren Jackson get some rest and playing some 4 because guess what? Zach Edey can take minutes at the 5.
Yeah, absolutely.
But here, let me put that same thing to you, Ricky. Okay, so we're taking OKC. You can kind of leave them in the mix, but let's take them out of the mix. And now you're going to pick. We just did the East. The starting 5 of the best 4 teams in the East, and they're hard to pick from. Okay, so in Houston, you got Jalen Green, Sengun, Van Fleet, Brooks, Thompson. In Memphis, you had Jaren Jackson, Morant, Des Bane, Santi Alabama, I don't even know who that is, and Jacques Wells and Pippen Jr. In Denver, Joker, Murray, Porter Jr., Braun, Aaron Gordon, Westbrook. In Dallas, Luka, Kyrie, Clay, P.J. Washington, Gafford, Dinwiddie, Lively. In the Clippers, you got Powell, Harden, Zubac, Kawhi. Lakers, you got AD, LeBron, Reeves, But I would pick, Denver, Dallas over Houston, Memphis for sure. And that's not even talking about Minnesota yet.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot to go along. And like you said, I think the West is deeper. And that's not even talking about the Warriors of Phoenix. So the West is really, really a deep conference.
Yeah. And Sacramento's played well of late. In fact, they're 9-1 in their last 10 games. So it's got. Mo, it is one thing about the league now. It is really competitive. A lot of people don't like all the 3-point shooting, which I am not a big fan of. But the competitiveness of the games is still, top shelf, man.
Yeah, we saw this past week, we saw OKC play Cleveland, really interesting. We saw Minnesota play the Knicks. There's interesting matchups. And, there is diversity everywhere. There's 4 to 5 really good teams in the East. There's 7 to 8 in the West. So, on any given night, any of those teams can beat each other. So, it makes it interesting. And as far as the 3 points are concerned, if you're making them, everything's great. If you're missing them, drive it to the basket. It's not brain surgery, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Mo, we just got 2 minutes left. Any final thoughts?
No, I'm. It's going to be an interesting game tonight. Ohio State, Notre Dame. I think it's a pick'em. It's going to be physical. In the long run, college students are still kids, right? They're, most of them are young, under 20 or 20. So I predict that there's going to be some big mistake, probably mental, on one of the teams that cost them the game today in this big championship game.
Yeah. Hey, I want to thank everybody for tuning in for this matinee edition of We Got Next. We'll be back at our regular time next week, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the big fella, Paul Mokeski. Go Chiefs, I guess.
It's okay. There's always next year, Ricky. There's always next year.
Well, we know that well around here in Motown.
Well, you already had about 2 or 3 parades during the season, so you're all parading now.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. Well, Paul Mokeski, I'm Rick Hampton. Thank you, everybody. See you next time.
Oh, Canada.
Put on a suit, drink water. Don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.